We move from NCAA football to NBA, and we have just the man for the job. Our most successful NBA capper through his first 2 seasons, the last 2 years on our show, is back for season number 3. Please welcome from Los Angeles, California, we got Derl Rice here rolling with us. It's Derl. What's good? How are you?
What's going on, Jimmy? What's going on, man? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, man. I'm a little under the weather today, brother.
Oh, no.
So a little cold caught up with me. And I'm still gonna kind of tough this out, man. But it's always good to see you, man. Any day on this side of the grass is a damn good
day. Good day.
Yeah.
And let's battle your cold and sickness with
Yeah.
winners. Let's fight it. Let's fight it with cash. How about we do that?
Absolutely.
Derl, I have moved into the black on the season with the Timberwolves and the Raptors last night. My two sides. Now I did lose on the full game under in the Raptors game, but moved into the black at 5-4, and I'm pumped up. Let's get right to work with ItsDerl. Thank you for joining us, my guy. 4-game slate. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern with the Toronto Raptors, who were so good to me last night in a dominant victory. 2-3, 0-1 on the road. The Philadelphia 76ers, 2-1, 1-0 at home. Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Watching Shredder go at Dame, they were saying that he was bullying Dame. Bullying Dame. That's what Shredder was doing. He also spoke afterwards, and I mean, 11 assists. He had what, 1 turnover in his first 4 games. Was that right? I forget. I mean, he's playing spectacular. He's taken that MVP of the World Cup for Germany right on to the Raptors, and we're very, very excited about what he's doing at point. Now, we can't shoot well every game. Most games will shoot around 30% from 3. But some nights, if we ever shoot well, it's over because our defense is very good and our transition game is very good as well. Let's get into this spot here. Of course, the Raptors broke their 3-game losing streak. Also, maybe the loss to Portland, who was on the second half of back-to-back, doesn't look quite as bad after Portland went into Detroit and took care of business there.
Yeah, they did.
That helps because we were pretty down and out. We were 1-3 and in the dumps. But all it took was a beating of the Bucks and putting up 130 points to get through that. For these Sixers, their new life here without Harden and Tucker begins. We have not seen them since Sunday when they took out Portland by 28 points at home. And the game before that was when they came to Toronto and beat the Raptors, despite the Raptors shooting 53% from 3. Then they beat us pretty soundly in that one. And let's move into the line history here for this one and the cash flow. NBA right here with Derl on Pub Sports Radio, betting with the bag. We have, move over to Pinnacle, sitting here with the Sixers at -8.5. Opened up at 8, went to 8.5, went to 9. We've had a half cent of buyback. It's still juiced towards Toronto at 8.5. From the total scenario, we're sitting at 215.5. This opened at 218. If I didn't lose on the under yesterday, I probably should have bet this immediately because, I mean, we saw the Raps put up, as I said, 53% three-point shooting and still only get to 107 points against the Sixers. 59% of the tickets and 34% of the cash are on the Sixers, so there are bigger bets coming in on the Raptors. And from a total scenario, 55% of the tickets, 66% cash is on the under, and the market is moving in that direction. Obviously, I've got last night's game in my head. I do not want any basketball team after they look spectacular.
Right.
I don't want them 24 hours later. But it felt really good to watch them play well. Take it away for us here, Derl. Raptors, Sixers, Wells Fargo.
Yeah, this one here, you're right about that. You're right about taking a team that looked really, really good the night before on a back-to-back. Quite frankly, it's just I couldn't get to a side. And if you look at the scoring ultimately, when it comes to even first quarter, first half scoring, this team is literally neck and neck. So I just didn't have enough juice behind it in my own opinion, to make me take the Raptors first half. But if you look at them, these guys are putting up about 66 points. They're right there in the middle of the field when it comes to first half scoring. I wanted to go to something really that was cashing for us all last year, if you remember it. And that's Jakob Poeltl. And I think that Jakob Poeltl's points, rebounds, and assists is low enough to where you can jump on it just based upon the lackluster night he had. Now, against them, I want to say Jakob Poeltl's points, rebounds, and assists on the game they played, the last game they played, if you look at it, it was terrible. 6 points, a total of 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Now, that's just not how he gets down. He's at least going to give you 10 boards, and he's at least going to give you 10 points. That's just the bare minimum. So I'm going to the well with this one. I think I'm going to be cashing this a lot. We did Jakob Poeltl last year, but I think we can jump on the train while the numbers are still low and get some Jakob Poeltl money. So Jakob Poeltl, at least, you can do over 18 and a half. I've got at least 19 points, rebounds, and assists. I believe that number cashes absolutely today.
It's one of those things that if Precious Achua is not on the floor, then because he's a game time decision, if he's not out there, then Poeltl plays a ton. Achua is capable of taking minutes away from Poeltl at this point. And we've seen it happen. So,
well, it happened last game. I mean, he only had 24 minutes, and he was still at that 16 PRA. He was at that mark with 16 total. So if you're telling me all I need is another, bucket and a rebound or an assist, I think he's got it in him. 6 points is just extremely low for how good Jakob is. So if he doesn't play, that's what I'm banking on Precious side. If he doesn't play, then we've beat the number. But this should probably move up a little bit closer to game time. But I do like the 19.
Locked in over 18 and a half points, rebounds, and assists for Jakob Poeltl. You are in business. Derl has fired away. At this point, nothing for me in Raptors, Sixers, although I probably should have got in on that under early. It's, I'll let it go. Next up for us, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Detroit Pistons, 2-3, 1-2 on the road at New Orleans. Pelicans, 3-1, 1-1 at home. We're at Smoothie King Center, New Orleans, Louisiana. Another squad here on a back-to-back. We touched on it. So this is also their third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights. They lose 110-101 at home to Portland, and it was a surprise. The Pistons seemingly were in control early. The Pelicanos come in off a 110-106 win at OKC last night. So we have 2 teams on the second half of back-to-backs. It was a great bounce-back spot for the New Orleans Pelicans, after losing by 28 on Monday to the Warriors. And there was concern as well with the Pelicans, without BI game time decision here again. Right. And, 67 points the Pelicans put up in the second half, led by CJ McCollum, 10-17 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 11 boards for McCollum, something we're not used to. Another thing we're not used to is the leader in assists for the Pelicans, Young Zion. Young Zion with 8 assists, 10 boards, 20 points. I mean, almost a triple-double of action. Justin McElvey, the Stacks play of the day is in, and it is the Detroit Pistons +7 for Justin. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one during game time decision as well. BI game time decision. He's not being ruled out at this point. When we take a look at the line history here for this spot, we'll start with the total. It's sitting at 218. This opened up at 219. We have a 1-point drop on the total. And from a point spread perspective, we have it sitting at 7.5 right now. So this opened up at 7.5. Detroit was -105. Now they're -114. That's why you see 7s on the board and not 7.5. And when we get over to the cash flow on the total, which has dropped a point, 73% of those tickets are on the under, but just 38% of the cash. So interesting that they did drop it. And then 90% of the tickets, 94% of cash on the Pistons bounce back spot here, in New Orleans. Take it away for us, Derl. Game 2 of the 4-game card, Pistons, Pelicans.
Yeah, this one's no play for me here, only because of the injury report. I, I, I just don't know what's going on with Jalen Duren. Like we said, we don't know what's going on with Brandon Ingram as well. You did see the Pelicans kind of get down by a lot of points yesterday against OKC. So are the Pelicans just not really good yet, trying to find their footing, if you will, or is OKC really a good squad? And we can ask that same thing about Detroit, and that is, hey, are they going to be a lot better than they have been in the past? Now that you've got some solid players here, but there's just too many injuries here. Primarily Jalen Duren, that center there. He is the guy that makes that team go. If you want to say that. And Brandon Ingram, he's another one. Now at the 7.5, that seems like a lot for the Pelicans coming off of a back-to-back. And like I said, letting OKC kind of have their way with them, having to kind of tough it out and win that game ultimately in the second half. But right now, I just can't get a good read on Narlands. So it's just a pass for me for right now. You got to wait until you see that injury report and if they're playing for sure. So Justin has Detroit. If I had to take a side, it would be Detroit. But I would feel really comfortable knowing if Jalen Duren's playing, knowing if BI is playing.
Let's move on. We move on. The second half of both teams on the back-to-back, not a comfortable situation for me, really. And then seeing all the tickets and money on the Pistons, expecting a bounce back. Don't know about Durant. I get it. Let's move on to 9 p.m. Eastern. The Orlando Magic 2-2, 1-2 on the road at Utah Jazz, 2-3, 2-1 at home. The Magic had a tough Monday, Tuesday in Los Angeles. Monday, they lose at the Lakers 106-103 in a tough, tight one. Another low-scoring game like their one in Portland. And then they lose 118-102 to the Clip Show. And that was a really fun game between the Clips and the Lakers last night. Long one, late into the night. I enjoyed watching. I only watched the fourth quarter and overtime, but it was very fun to tune into. And then we have the Jazz. I had them in their first game of the year at home against Sacramento, and they lost badly. And I went right back to the well against the Clippers and was rewarded for doing so. And I've not moved on them since. And I wanted them last night, but the market was moving towards Memphis, and it didn't make sense, and it kind of got me off. It was a similar market move as we saw with the Timberwolves, and I was on the Timberwolves, but I wasn't going to fade the Jazz. I don't want to fade the Jazz at home. We got a note from Dan Kelly earlier on the show, and he said, if the Magic have a lead at halftime, look to get on the Jazz. The elevation should bother the young magicians, as they've been at sea level for a while now, and they're playing their third game in 4 nights. Oh, that's beautiful. And
that's absolutely right.
And our guy Jose has it locked and loaded. I love that. So that's an important move here. So we have the Magic had yesterday off, and now they are in Salt Lake City. And for the
But now, Jimmy, can you confirm this? Because I'm seeing now that the Magic is actually favorite. Well, Magic is -1. I could be wrong.
Well, let's discuss this with the Jazz on the second half of back-to-back, because we've already heard BJ's best bet on these Orlando Magic. And yes, the Magic are favored, 1.5 point favorite.
Yeah. So that's flipped. The complete. So
it is flipped. Yeah.
I don't know why it would do that. I mean, everything points toward this being a Jazz spot, to be honest with you. And if you look, I was looking at their points. Right now, Utah is sitting comfortably, like they're 8th in the league with first half points. And the last game they played, they put up almost an 80 points in the first half. And we've got Orlando that's sitting way down. Right now, I see them at 14th. So if we're looking at points from a points perspective, this should be a Jazz spot. And if you do like the Jazz, if you do like the Magic, then I can honestly agree with what BJ said. I'd take them early, because between Jazz and Denver are the only two spots with this elevation issue. So at the same token, I guess the rebuttal to that really is that these are young legs. I think Orlando's got one of the youngest teams in the league right now, but it is 3-4. So they played LA hard, ultimately lost that game. That was a push. The Lakers, the Clippers got them, but this is a pretty tough team as well. Like the Magic and Detroit, they're gonna break a lot of banks this year. A lot of people are going to bet against these two squads, and they're going to come out on top. I think these are a lot better squads than what we've known of in the past. So I'm saying all that to say that it's a no play for me. I don't like how that line is moved because I would lean toward the Jazz, but right now they're home dogs. So I don't know if that's reverse line movement. I don't know if that's sharps coming in and betting the Magic right now, because the majority of the side is still on the Jazz, but you have that type of line movement. So no play for me on this.
69% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the Orlando Magic. It is cash
That's crazy.
that's moving this
Cash
line.
driven, huh?
Oh yeah.
So that is that considered sharps moving on them, or is that a little bit of sharp and public?
Well,
when you've got that much.
No, you have to think that these are big bets and sharp action on the Magic
Right.
here, expecting the Jazz to not succeed here in an early back-to-back for them.
Listen, they were down by 11, and when these guys get hot, the Magic can play 5 out. They really can. Like, they've got shooters on that squad, man. They've got some serious shooters. I mean, they were down by 11, and Gary Harris went on a route where he made 5 consecutive threes, and nobody would close out on him. So thinking that they could be a pushover, I can totally understand why the Sharps would take the Magic. Even though they lost those 2 games against the LA squads, they played them well, Jimmy. They played them well. So this is going to be an easier opponent, if you ask me. But I would still look at the Jazz. I think Banchero's a shooter. I do. I think so, saturated. But he's kind of hit or miss. But if he's not shooting on the outside, he could definitely get his shot wherever he wants. I mean, that guy's he's almost unstoppable. Give him a couple more years.
No action at this point. I don't want to fade the Jazz at home. I don't want to fade them ever this year. I think that's not going to be a winning proposition, but maybe, looking back at it, maybe this does make sense to do that here. The Jazz looked so good against the Memphis Grizzlies last night.
Everybody's going to look good against Memphis right now.
Yeah.
Everybody is. You've got Adams that's out for the year. You needed him. You got Ja, who's not playing right now. Like, they're just going to get beat up on. That's a prop team right now. You look at the matchup and then you just take the props. But everybody's looking good against Memphis.
Well, let's move on to the final game on this card and see if we can mine a winner on this one. We have our Cappers contest show starring Jose Bouquet and myself starting in 13 minutes. So let's get this one locked and loaded. Spurs, Phoenix Suns is next up for us. And we just saw these two teams play in a wild 115-114 win for San Antonio in Phoenix. And now they get right back at it. There were 129 points scored in the matchup that we just saw. Again, the Spurs were down 63-45 at the half, and they came all the way back. The Suns were held to 19 points in the fourth quarter. Obviously, injury issues have been affecting the Suns early, and let's talk about this one here. We have a total. Let's start with the total. The total is sitting at 227. It opened up at 225.5, so we've gone up 1.5 to 227. And from a point spread scenario, we have the Suns 8.5 point favorites, and that 8.5 point favorite is juiced. It opened up at 7.5 and moved to 8, and now 8.5. Let's get over to the cash flow as well for this one. Booker is a game time decision, and Beal is out. This is a healthy Spurs squad. From a cash flow spot, we have 43% of the tickets and 65% of the cash on the under, and yet this total has climbed 1.5. And then we have 91% of the tickets and 98% of the cash on the Suns. Expecting a bounce back spot here, and after they sort of got embarrassed at home. And it's not like the Spurs played that well, shot 37.8% from 3, 46.7% from the field It wasn't like they played that well, but the Suns turned the ball over 19 times and shot 46% from three, shot 50% from the field. I mean, what was it that hurt them? Grayson Allen didn't look good, minus 12, but KD puts up 26 points, shoots 12 of 19 from the field. You're supposed to win that game. Jokic has 15 or 12 boards. What went wrong, and what do you expect will happen here? Take it away for us, Derl. Our final game on the board: Spurs Suns at Footprint Center.
Yeah, you ready for this analysis?
Oh,
are you ready for this one?
Oh,
this is a real simple, easy analysis.
This is the first time all year.
Give me Phoenix Suns first half minus. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
You ready for this? Here's my analysis. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit. So yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
First one of the year. Suns first half. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Take it away, Derl.
So, you know how I like to cap games when I'm looking at the scoring and how things are very lopsided. Though, people have different ways of capping games. Narratives, numbers, situations. I try to find things that are very, very lopsided. So the first thing I noticed, even in a little montage there, man, I used to be skinny, bro. I need to get back to that. Those were some skinny pictures of me. I'm like a fat fuck right now, looking like a goddamn Krispy Kreme donut. Okay, so anyways, Phoenix Suns, 4th in the league in first half scoring. They're tied for 4th in the league. They're behind, of course, Boston, who's number 1. You might as well just be printing Boston tickets right now. These guys just seem impossible to beat, but they're tied for 4th in the league in first half scoring. San Antonio is second to last in the league in first half scoring. So you're getting 50 points with San Antonio, and you're getting 60 points with Phoenix here. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And so what I also noticed are the opponent's points per game. So if you look at the opponent's points per game, Phoenix is actually first in the league with how many opponents' points they have in the first half. 47 points that they're allowing opponents. San Antonio is right at 20th in the league. So what you're seeing here are numbers that are completely lopsided on the amount of points Phoenix scores and the amount of points they allow their opponents to score. And San Antonio being the same thing, the amount of points that they score and the amount of points that their opponents score. So looking at Phoenix scoring a lot of points in the first half, looking at San Antonio not scoring any points in the first half, the plays definitely have to be the Phoenix Suns. Now, you see that big drop-off in the second half. For whatever reason, Pops makes those adjustments, whatever you want to call it, but these guys come back in the second half. So I really do like Phoenix Suns. I got it at -5, Jimmy, but I don't care what that spread is.
Well, there are 4.5s available at -110, so let's lock you in for that for record-keeping purposes. Suns first half -4.5, -110. Derls, I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Play of the day. He's also got Jakob Poeltl over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists, 2 spots. I'm interested in your I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Play of the day. I don't expect the same script as what we saw last game. These two teams just faced each other, but I don't really want to be on the side with 98% of the cash, but at least the market's moving in the direction of the Spurs. And yeah, BJ, we don't know about Booker right now. He's a game time decision, but Beal is out.
I think he plays. I think he plays. Yeah. I do. The news that came out was at first there was no timeline. Then all of a sudden he's questionable. I mean, come on, man. These coaches are getting ridiculous. They're lying through their teeth. But come on. We were just said there's no timeline. Vogel said that last night. There's no timeline whatsoever. Then all of a sudden he appears as questionable. He's a day away. So I think he does. If he doesn't, in the next 2 games, he's on it.
You are locked and loaded, Derl. 2 spots on the board for you. Suns first half -4.5 and Pirtle over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Please follow our guy Derl on X at ItsDerl. Derl, thank you so much for making time for us. You can catch him every Thursday right here. Betting with the Bag, coming to us live from Los Angeles, California. Derl, any last words for the Cappers here supporting the show?
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all, man. I will see you on next Thursday. Enjoy the rest of the day.
There he is, Daryl Rice.